This time we'll call to order the special meeting of the Clearwater City Council for September 17, 2025. This time we'll move to item 3.1 on the agenda.
Adopt ordinance 9848-25 on second reading, declaring the millage rate to be levied for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30, 2026, for operating purposes including the funding of pensions, debt service, and road maintenance for capital improvement expenditures at 5.8850 mils, which is 4.34% increase from the rollback rate of 5.6402 mils.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kayleen Castle, Budget Director. This is the final public hearing required by Florida statute to finalize the fiscal year 25-26 operating and capital improvement budget. To quickly recap the budget process this year, the proposed budget was posted on the city's website, available to the public on June 30th. A formal presentation of the proposed budget was given at the council meeting on July 10th, where the tentative millage rate was set. Council also had a work session to further discuss the budget on August 6th. And finally, a formal presentation of the budget as presented tonight was given at our last city council meeting, the first public hearing on September 3rd. This is for the final approval of the millage ordinance to adopt a rate of 5.8850 mils to support the operating and capital improvement budgets for fiscal year 25-26. There is no change to the millage rate you are approving tonight. It's the same rate as was levied in the prior 3 fiscal years. Due to growth in property values, this rate is 4.34% greater than the rolled back rate. As presented previously, these ad valorem tax revenues are necessary to fully fund the operations and the capital costs of general fund departments, which includes our police and fire departments, road maintenance, parks and recreation, planning, libraries, and all city administration. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have on this item.
Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to this agenda item?
Good evening, Patrick Raftery from the countryside area. It's been a while since I've been here, but good evening to Mr. Mayor and all the members of the council and the staff. As I was coming here tonight, I did have to remark it seemed like a huge crowd was coming down for the budget meeting. And then as I got closer, I realized there was an event. I have watched the process on television, was unable to make the first budget review meeting, but a couple of comments I'd like to make to you. Number one, I did appreciate the fact that the millage rate has been maintained at the same rate, 5.8850. However, because of the rise in property values, all of us will see a slight increase in our property taxes. My family can accommodate that, and I'm sure many families can, but that could be a burden to those families that are going to see an increase that they'll have to struggle with. So I think we need to keep that in mind as we decide that we're keeping the millage rate the same, but with property values increasing, people's property taxes are going up. A rollback rate may be not the right thing to do, but perhaps a compromise between the 5.8850 and the rollback rate to give the residents a bit of a break. That's the only point I wanted to make up to you. I appreciate your time, as well as the staff's preparation of the budget and your focus on that budget, as well as one of your members says, spending the people's money wisely. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else here from the public desire to speak to this agenda item? You're seeing none. May we have a reading?
This is millage ordinance number 9848-25, an ordinance of the city of Clearwater, Florida, declaring the millage rate to be levied for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026 for operating purposes, including the funding of pensions, debt service, and road maintenance for capital improvement expenditures at 5.8850 mils, providing an effective date. The levy of 5.8850 mils constitutes a 4.34% increase from the rollback rate of 5.6402 mils.
Is there any council discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 3.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 3.2.
Adopt ordinance 9849-25 on second reading, adopting an operating budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025, and ending September 30, 2026, authorizing the city manager to issue such instructions that are necessary to achieve and accomplish a service program so authorized, authorizing the city manager to transfer monies and programs among the departments and activities within any fund as provided by Chapter 2 of the Clearwater Code of Ordinances.
This is for the final approval of the ordinance to adopt the operating budget as presented for fiscal year 25-26. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you have.
Is there anyone here from the public tonight that desires to speak to this agenda item?
Slightly older, but still Patrick Raftery from the countryside area. I want to make a couple of comments on this item, and I think it's appropriate that they're said here, I hope. And that's with respect to the budget process, which I took a close watch at and understood that the RSA recommendation for utility increases was going to be adopted effective 1st of October this year. I recall when the RSA recommended in 2022 a 3% rise for the next 5 years of that. However, I also noticed that at the presentation of the budget, there was justification by RSA for that to be raised to 8% for the next 5 years, beginning October 1st, 2025. On the one hand, it is an increase. I don't think it's that significant, but it also says this council and the city staff are now beginning to fund those things that we all need to be done within the city of Clearwater, and I applaud the action that's being taken. There's a lot of traffic online about wastewater, stormwater, treatment, sewer, and so forth. And I think we need to face up to the tremendous expense it is going to require for that to be done, and we need to do it and be upfront with the residents about how that's going to be funded. I did notice at one of the presentations at the work session that Councilmember Cotton indicated that perhaps at the end of that 5-year period of time, that 8% rate might be reduced and the city might give us a refund, and if that was the case, he was going to advocate for that very strongly. I appreciate those comments, but I would like to point out 2 things that may not happen. One, the city deciding to give back to the residents some of that rate. And number 2, Mr. Cotton sitting on the dais to drive that rate reduction back to us. Other than that, thank you very much.
Does anyone else desire to speak to this agenda item?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm still Bill Johnson. Let me start out by saying that you have an incredibly important job for the future of this city. Too few of us step up to thank you for doing this job. A year ago, this council adopted strategic goals for the city manager. In so doing, this council did more than the other recent councils to strengthen the management infrastructure as recommended by the last 2 charter review committees. I would argue that providing collaborative guidance and priorities for the city manager is even more important than adopting the budget, for the budget simply follows and implements those priorities. You held 2 half-day strategic planning workshops in January and February. I realize it's hard to be collaborative and in an open public meeting, yet you made good progress sharing personal objectives. Despite this, I think the community had hoped that there would have been more work toward developing ranked strategic priorities list, at least for the subset of the top priorities. The city manager reported at a recent CNC meeting that currently the priorities are listed in the work plan and that they are equal in priority and all will be accomplished according to the plan. This list has 143 projects. To give them all equal priority, in my opinion, results in diminished quality or increased costs if funding is unlimited, and of course funding is not unlimited. A premium experience was what I heard the recent councils over the years articulating and justifying the $84 million investment in Coachman Park to attract residents to live in our downtown. I think that what you've seen there is one of those questions where equal priority, we just haven't had the priority for Coachman Park to that premium level. Your action today to approve the budget, the millage rate likely won't be affected by my comments tonight. I don't expect that. But I do hope that moving forward, the council will embrace and develop ranked strategic priority lists for next year, at least for those collaborative top priority items. And again, thank you for your work on the council tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here from the public tonight desires to speak to this agenda item? If not, may we have a reading?
Mayor, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. That's not Mr. Albert. It looked like he may have a comment.
May I make a comment?
Oh, yeah, well, we're going to have discussion afterwards.
All right, go ahead, Maria.
All right. We have operating budget ordinance number 9849-25, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, adopting an operating budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th, 2026, authorizing the city manager to issue such instructions that are necessary to achieve and accomplish the service programs so authorized, authorizing the city manager to transfer monies and programs among the departments and activities within any fund as provided by Chapter 2 of the Clearwater Code of Ordinances, providing an effective date.
Okay. Council discussion.
Okay. I just want everybody to know, and I want to thank the city manager and all the department heads and the staff for really tightening their belt and making this budget come down. They worked real hard on this, and this is our second reading of this. I think on the first reading, we also said the same thing, but I wanted to get that out to the public, that we really wanted to bring a tightening effect and tighten up the budget, and it happened this time. And this budget that we're voting on was a lot of effort by city staff to bring it down, so just want to make everybody aware of that.
Any other discussion? Now is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 3.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 3.3.
Adopt ordinance 9850-25 on second reading, adopting the capital improvement program budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025 and ending September 30, 2026, approving the six-year capital improvement program, which shall be reevaluated at the beginning of each fiscal year, authorizing the city manager to issue such instructions that are necessary to achieve and accomplish the capital improvements so authorized, authorizing the city manager to transfer money between projects in the capital improvement program, appropriating available and anticipated resources for the projects identified.
This is for the final approval of the ordinance to adopt the capital improvement budget for fiscal year 25-26. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you have on the capital budget.
Is there anyone here from the public tonight that desires to speak to this agenda item? Hearing, seeing none, may we have a reading?
We have capital improvement ordinance number 9850-25, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, adopting the capital improvement program budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, approving the six-year capital improvement program, which shall be reevaluated at the beginning of each fiscal year, authorizing the city manager to issue such instructions that are necessary to achieve and accomplish the capital improvements so authorized, authorizing the city manager to transfer money between programs in the capital improvement program, appropriating available and anticipated resources for the projects identified, providing an effective date.
Okay. Any council discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 3.3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you for all your work, particularly the finance department really helped. We've heard several presentations from you, and you've just done a great job each time and presenting a very big, complex subject to us. So appreciate the entire team, but particularly you and the way you've brought this to our, to allow us to vote on it and presented it to us. So thank you. Yeah. Move to item 4 on the agenda, the city manager reports.
Nothing, sir.
Item 5, city attorney reports.
Nothing, Mayor.
Item 6, closing comments by council members. Councilmember Cotton?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Rafferty, I completely agree with you. I think that this council has done a good job, that the city manager and staff this year have done a really good job with the budget. Thank you all very much for stressing your budgets, for making sure that we could look after the taxpayer and understand it's the people's money. I will always advocate that there's always more work to do. We can always make sure that we're safeguarding and protecting where we spend our dollars, how they're being utilized. And I think that each one of you know that sentiment from my purview anyways. So as we continue to go into next year, if we can get towards that rollback rate, if we are able to find a happy medium, that's where I would love to be. Because I know that all of you who live in Clearwater feel, those little increases that Mr. Rafferty pointed out. I know that I see them, and for some people, it is bigger to their budget than it might be to ours. So we need to make sure that we're working for all of Clearwater and not just the select portion, which I believe that we're all doing to a great extent. So let's just continue to put in the good work, see where we can streamline, see where we can become more efficient, and keep doing the best work that we can for our residents. So thank you all very much again for the work in the budget. City Manager, thank you very much for your work, and to your staff. I think that we've done a good start. And you're right, I'm up in 28, but we'll stay on those utility rates and make sure that we're staying on top of them. So thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, we'll move to item 7, closing comments by mayor. I think we've discussed the budget enough. Again, just thank everyone for their time and effort they put into this to get to this result. But with that, I don't have anything further to share tonight. So with that, we will adjourn the Wednesday, September 17, 2025 special meeting of the Clearwater City Council.